Hello, Henry. How are you holding up? I heard you had a rough day yesterday. Hope you're hanging in there. How hardworking you are, Henry. Let me know if I can give you a hand in any way. Happy to help. Okay. All right. A lot of H sounds. In this American English pronunciation lesson, we're going to talk about how to properly pronounce the H sound. The H sound that comes at the beginning of a word. All right, let's get into it. So let's start with the words that start with H. When you see an H at the beginning of a word, you can make this sound by breathing out. It's very subtle. Just think of it as a slight exhale. So inhale, right? And exhale. An exhale that you're breathing out through your mouth, not through your nose. Because if you were to breathe out through your nose, you can't make that sound. You can't hear it. But if you're breathing out through your mouth, the exhale is coming out from your mouth, it's very similar. So think of it that way. For the H sound at the beginning of the word, you are making a slight exhale. So it's essentially just a little bit of air coming through. If it's more in the back of your throat, you're doing it wrong. And it also hurts your throat, particularly if you're not used to making that kind of sound with your mouth and your neck. So it's really subtle. It's really more in the front of your mouth. And you're almost whispering. Right? You're not trying to make that much noise. So again, it's an exhale, a very slight exhale. And in terms of mouth shape, think of it as though you are making an O. Okay? We're going to talk more about mouth shape in a little bit. Let's start with the word happy. 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 So in happy, we hear the strong breath sound at the start of the word, right? Happy. 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 And if you wanted to put your hand on your diaphragm, which is your upper abdomen here, you should feel like it is being pushed, right? So happy, happy, happy. That means you're doing it correctly. You don't want to feel it in your chest. You want to feel it in your diaphragm. So put your hand on your upper stomach and happy, happy, happy. Okay, so compare that now to appy. We're just going to remove the H for a thought experiment. There's no such word as appy, but I'm taking happy and I'm removing the H sound so that we can say appy, appy. How does your mouth shape change? It goes from happy, happy, right? Big, an O. Think of like an O/rectangle, if that makes sense. Happy, happy. Essentially, you're opening your mouth pretty wide to say happy. And now say appy, appy, appy. It's more of a slight smile. It's not a huge O or just a huge motion with your mouth. It's more subtle. It's closed, more closed. It's appy, appy. It's a slight smile that's on your face, right? But to say happy, we need to have our mouth open to begin with, making almost an O shape, right? Not quite an O shape, but almost. All right, humble. Humble versus umble. Umble is not a word, but again, we're using it to compare the pronunciation so that you really get the pronunciation of the H sound, right? So again, we're breathing out when we say humble. You're just exhaling a little bit to produce the H sound at the beginning of the word. Again, if you want to put your hand right here at your abdomen area, your diaphragm, then do that because it might help you establish that mind-gut connection and you feel it in your diaphragm, right? Humble, humble, humble. It should sort of contract a little bit because you're pushing, right? Okay, and again, the air is going to come out with the sound. Heart versus art. Heart, art, heart, art. Notice how your mouth shape changes ever so slightly. So go back and forth. Heart, art. Heart, art. Heart, art. Okay, that's a fun one to try. Hold, hold. Okay, here our shape is an O. Why? Because the next sound after the H is an O, right? So hold. So we're already prepping our mouth for that O sound. O, right? Hold, old, hold, old. The only difference here, not so much mouth shape, because mouth shape doesn't change. Mouth shape doesn't change here. Hold, old. It's just the at the beginning, right? Okay. What about have versus av? Av. So av is short for avenue. So we might say Fifth Ave or Lexington Ave or Vanderbilt Ave, right? Av, short for avenue. So we do have that word. And for have, we have the exhale, have, right? That's a little exaggerated, but I'm just trying to make a point here. We don't walk around saying, ha, right? No. Sounding like a panting dog, no. But it's still there. We're still exhaling, essentially. Have, have. Okay, so practice it like that. Do it an exaggerated version. Have, right? And then more subtle. Have. Very subtle. And then av. We don't open it as big. It's more of a smile. Av. Lots of happy tourists love shopping on Fifth Ave in Manhattan. All right, heat. Heat versus eat. I prefer eating to heat, if that makes sense. But again, try this yourself. Heat versus eat. And again, the mouth shape is going to stay more or less the same because the word that follows the sound, right? The sound, H sound, is an E. And then we also have eat, right? So it's going to stay the same. Hat versus at. Hat, at. Hat, at. All right. What about health? Health versus elf. Elf is not a word. We're just using it for the pronunciation comparison purposes. Health versus elf. Again, you have that exhale with the H. This is probably going to tire your vocal cords a little bit and even your mouth simply because you might not be used to making this sound. In your own language, you might not necessarily have this sound, or you might have an H, a letter H in your language, but it might not be pronounced the same way as it is in American English. So be patient with yourself and don't worry if you start feeling some discomfort if you've practiced all of the words in this lesson and you feel now like your throat hurts a little bit or you're just feeling really tired, maybe mentally as well. Completely natural. It means you're on the right track. It means that you're doing the right thing. You're actually making progress in this area. All right, so now I'd like you to practice the H sounds in this paragraph that I'm going to share with you. What you can do is repeat after me each sentence you hear, or you can wait till the end and repeat the whole thing. All right, so let's do it again, the one that you heard at the beginning, right? I put as many H's as I could, and I tried to make it make sense, so I hope you appreciate that, right? It's not just nonsense, hopefully. All right, so here we go. Hello, Henry. How are you holding up? I heard you had a rough day yesterday. Hope you're hanging in there. How hardworking you are, Henry. Let me know if I can give you a hand in any way. Happy to help. All right, cool. So try to practice that. Make it a point of first exaggerating the H sound, really getting it, and then dialing it down. And when you dial it down, that's ultimately what we end up with when we're speaking in English. Right? People don't walk around with, right? It's kind of crazy if we did that. It would be a little strange, but we don't do that. It's more subtle. But again, do the exaggerated version so that you know what it feels like. You know how it feels in your mouth. You know how it feels in your head and your throat and your diaphragm. And then you can dial it down, and that'll be the more natural version. All right, let's try another one. I hope you like this one as well. Here we go. Heartbroken Heathcliff had a horrendous habit of howling in his hut. Okay, so who's Heathcliff? Heathcliff is a character from one of my favorite novels. It's an Emily Bronte novel called Wuthering Heights. You may have heard of it. There's also a film. And his love interest is Catherine. And the reason he is heartbroken, well, I won't give that part away. But I highly recommend you read this novel. It is a classic, and I think you would enjoy it. All right, so practice these sentences and these paragraphs and make your own sentences by using as many words as you can that start with the letter H, and try to group them. So try to have as many H starting sounds in the sentences so that you can really exhaust the muscles essentially, and try to make the extra challenge here is to try to make the sentence in the paragraph make sense, like I did with the Hello Henry and the Heartbroken Heathcliff, because that way, it's an extra challenge, and this is an advanced level of English that you have. So I know that you can do this, and it should be fun. And if you want, you can share your sentences and your paragraphs with us, and we can see what you've written there. All right, advanced English learners, thank you so much for joining me for this lesson. I am so proud of you for making it all the way to the end. If you're watching this lesson on YouTube and you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and family who are also working on their English communication skills. And if you are listening to our podcast and you love our podcast, then please be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us out. And share it also with friends and family so that we can get it out there to more people, that we can help improve their communication and English communication skills. And speaking of communication, we have a separate channel called Exploring Communication. You can find it on YouTube at Exploring with Mary Daphne, or if you just type in Exploring, you can find it there. And that is essentially for native English speakers of English. But there are so many amazing strategies and lessons in there that I really want you to be able to have as well. So since you're at the advanced level of English, I firmly believe that you would be able to benefit from Exploring as well. And what's amazing is Exploring and advanced English combined, them together is really powerful. So they're meant to be used in synchrony. And I think that you would really enjoy it. So you can check out the podcast as well. Type it in, Exploring. And you can also check out the YouTube channel. And if you want to check out our blog with all the lessons there, there's hundreds of lessons. You can go to exploring.co/blog. As you know as well, advancedenglish.co/blog. And you can sign up for the newsletters, sign up for both of them. Why not? That way you get all the lessons from us here at Advanced English and Exploring. Honestly, a job well done, and I will see you in the next Advanced English where we're going to continue advancing your English together. Until then, keep up the awesome work, and I will see you very soon.